Hi, this is Kerry Artag with Wicked Stocks bringing you the daily Apple report for Friday, February 10th, 2023. Before I click on the charts, just want to ask you to please click like every time you watch the daily Apple report. It helps us out a great deal in being found on YouTube. Also, subscribe to the Wicked Stocks YouTube channel. It'll provide you notification each and every time new content has been uploaded for your viewing. That includes the daily Apple and daily Tesla report. Also, you may look at wickedstocks.com as a monthly subscription. We keep a very reasonable price. You get a lot for it. We just put out a Microsoft analysis video on Thursday. Earlier in the week, Google, Alphabet. We provide daily Triple Q, daily SPY, weekly S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, and TLT. That is the long bond in the ETF world, and to name a few. Anyway, let's jump to the charts. We came off of long-term support that was targeted from October on, about a month and a half ago in the low 120s. After that test, we'd mentioned how the 170s should be considered a realistic long-term target into later 23. We may reach that area sooner than later. On the way up, we had mentioned how what was then clearly both in the 140s, a long-term speed line, now at 139.51, and a channel top at 144.33, that clearing that area should actually narrow the 173.09 targeted time horizon to within about 2 to 3, 3 to 5 months. And that is actually still in play. But we do have a downward pivot point that will have something to say about the timing of everything today in the low 150s. We got a rising 1/3 speed line projected up that January low in combination with an extreme channel bottom at 150.64. This narrow range, I'm still calling it a 4-star support area that you can see over here, able, because of the recent buy signals, able to contain selling through March trade, and above which we can, over the next few months, let's say, reach into the lower 170s. Assuming we hold above 150.64 to 151.35, we do have speed line resistance in reach over the next few weeks. Now, you don't see the low 150 support shown here because it's just difficult to show on this chart. It's too condensed. It would look too steep. So we open it up by showing it here. But holding above the low 150s will keep the low 160s in reach over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Now, you'll see here I've got 153.52. That is that former channel top that we closed above, then back below. It held roughly yesterday. I've lightened up on it as an intraday resistance level only. And I'll go back to this chart to show that the high settlement prices for the last week have both been in the 154 handle. I believe the first high settlement on this big day about a week ago was 154.50, and the high settlement price from 3 days ago was 154.65. So I'm using that as our upward pivot point into next week. It may well contain daily buying pressures today. It is in reach above 150.64 to 151.35. If we close above 154.65, that would be consistent with a constructive dynamic that I'm expecting through next week above the low 150s. Closing above 154.65, we're probably just 3 to 5 days away from reaching that low 160s, which is a respectable resistance in its own right. A combination 5/8 upside Fibonacci AB, along with a descending 2/3 speed line projected off that all-time high from about a year ago. The low 160s, 160.49 to 161.19, if tested, say between now and, I don't know, the end of next week, able to contain buying through the following week. We could even fall off from here into later February, early March, but it would be a settlement above 161.19 that would maintain an accelerated upside dynamic within 2 to 3 weeks of closing above 161.19, this 173.09 formation in reach and able to contain buying through Q2, possibly into later 23. So that kind of covers the upside. Let's talk downside now. That if we happen to break or open below 150.64, 147.83 in reach, that is the low of the high from about a week ago. And it has meaning. There's some gaps here. It may actually be it for the day to the downside. 147.83 is well suited for aggressive day traders. And in terms of day trading, let me just outline that it is bottom picking the low 150s, anticipating 154.65, the high settlement price from 3 days ago, where you can can take profits or go short. If we close above 154.65, 3 to 5 day swing traders should climb on board for a low 160s objective. 1 to 2 week swing traders should be buying now in the low 150s in anticipation of the low 160s. Hi, if you enjoy watching our daily Apple report, you'll love our daily Triple Q and SPY reports. They're presented in the same 5 to 10 minute video format. Our daily SPY and Triple Q analysis provides directional market signals that are correlated with highly specific price support and resistance levels. Whether your trading time horizon is short or longer term, we promise you a distinctive edge in your trading of the SPY and Triple Q. We offer a 5-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. So go to wickedstocks.com right now and start receiving your daily SPY and daily Triple Q reports today. Inversely, day traders breaking or opening below 150.64, I think you should expect at least 147.83. That could be it for the day, but if we break 147.83, 144.33 is likely today, which I now have weighted as only a session containment level, because I do think, and let me put this in the proper context, I think the best image to show is once again this one, that if we close below the low 150s, it is this speed line at 137.78 that I would consider to be a realistic 2 to 3 week downside target. I don't think 3 weeks, but the better part of 2 weeks, sure, with ample support on the way down at 144.33. That is that former channel top that I'm showing here again. We might even bottom out there for several days, but because of the settlement, if it were to occur below the low 150s and its implication for this speed line at 137.78, I just want to keep it at light at 144.33. Now, one of the things I think I mentioned yesterday is 137.78 is rising on a daily basis, and it will, over the next week or so, coincide with this long-term descending 1/3 speed line, which we settled above a few weeks ago. So you can see I have them coupled down here. In short, what I'm really wanting to say is if we close below 150.64 to 151.35 today, no good reason to be long as we continue into later February that can shake out all the recent long entries that have occurred over the last couple of weeks. And with that, drive this market south into the upper 130s within a couple of weeks, low 140s, depending on where everything is at the time. But I really will be watching the convergence here between 137.78 and 139.51, which is this long-term speed line. This actually says it quite well here. Closing below 151.35, and remember there's a channel bottom at 150.64 today, does signal over the next couple of weeks 139.51. I should have that 2/3 speed line drawn right here because it's coming up right about like this. And it is the convergence of these two, 137.78 to 139.51, that becomes a 2-week target today. You can play that a number of ways. I would say if your time horizon is 2 to 3 weeks, don't be long. If we close below 150.64, you could consider getting short, whatever that means to you. It might mean buying 138 out of the money puts that don't expire for at least a month or so. That is one way. And inversely, last thing I'll say is as we continue testing the low 150s and fail to close below it, this market is quite capable of springing back into the low 160s by the end of next week. So for those of you who are the 1 to 2 week swing trader, just know that this is an area to get long despite everything that you're seeing here on this chart. It is still decent support, and as long as we close above it, the low 160s likely over the next couple of weeks. And that could mean buying 160, say, out of the money calls that don't expire for at least 3 or 4 weeks. And I think that that pretty much summarizes it for Friday's Daily Apple Report. I'll be back Sunday afternoon with Monday's letter. Please click like if you would and subscribe, and we will talk soon. Have a great weekend.